Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. I am here to do my top 50 all-time favorite characters on The Walking Dead, and then later on today I will release another video of my top 10 least favorite characters on The Walking Dead. As The Walking Dead aired its series finale on November 20th, although it's really not the end of the series as the show will continue in various spin-off projects. I probably should have done this video sooner, like a week after that series finale ended, but I just kind of forgot about it, because usually I do all these ranking videos the week of, but oh well, you're getting it about a month later, but hopefully maybe it gave me more time to think about things. And of course, upon another rewatch, my opinion could change. But before I get into my ranking, a few things you should know. While I have my list of my top 50 all-time favorite characters of The Walking Dead in front of me, I don't have any notes. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. There may be characters I go more in depth with. So with that in mind, watch out for spoilers, because if you're not caught up to the point where I am and rewatching or watching The Walking Dead, which is all 177 episodes of The Walking Dead, I highly suggest that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any and all potential spoilers. And with this ranking, we are going to disagree. Not everybody has the same favorite characters lists, and I know two characters in particular a lot of people love that I don't necessarily love, and they're in the ranking, but they're lower than some people would have them, especially one. So just be aware that we're not going to agree, and make sure you leave some sort of character ranking in the comments section. Now, you don't necessarily have to do your top 50, but if you want to, go ahead and do that. But leave something in the comments section, your top 10, just so I have something to go off of. And if you're a fan of The Walking Dead and really enjoy this series, smash that like button. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Share this video with anybody that you know, or put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Leave me lots of comments in the comments section about The Walking Dead, anything you want to talk about, including your character ranking list. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. Starting my ranking off, my number 50 is going to be Eastman. Yes, I know Eastman is only in one episode of The Walking Dead. He was in The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 4, Bury Me Here. He's the guy that has Morgan in the cage, but the cage isn't actually locked, we find out. And he's just a very interesting character, and he left a memory in my head of that particular character. And I'm hoping, although I don't think it'll happen, at some point we have a Tales from The Walking Dead episode featuring Eastman, but we don't know for sure if that show's even coming back. But I really liked Eastman, and I had to include him on my ranking. I bet nobody else will, so that's why I put Eastman at number 50. Number 49, I'm going with Oscar. Oscar was in Season 3 of The Walking Dead. He wasn't featured much. He was only in like 5 or 6 episodes, maybe a little bit more than that. He was one of the prisoners at the prison that joined our group. He turned on Andrew, I guess you want to say, and became a very important member of our group until he died, I believe, in the mid-season finale of Season 3, Made to Suffer. But I liked Oscar, and I had to include him on the list. I know some of you won't, but that's why Oscar's my number 49. My number 48, I'm going back to Season 1. I'm choosing Jim. Jim is the guy that was a part of our original group. He was burying or digging all the graves on the campground, I guess you want to say. And he had a dream. And then he remembered why he was digging all those holes for people that died when walkers came to the campground. And I really liked Jim. Now, he was bitten, and we ended up, our main group, ended up leaving him on the side of the road. We never found out what happened to Jim. Yeah, I know he's probably dead, but what if somehow, some way, in some spin-off show or something, we found out that Jim got saved by somebody and cured and is alive? Wouldn't that be crazy? I don't know. I put Jim on here just because in my head, he was more memorable than the other characters that I may or may not have put on the list. And I'll talk about those in a few minutes here, but that's why I chose Jim as my number 48. Actually, might as well go with the honorable mentions. Now, these are in no particular order. Characters that were on my initial draft sheet that I didn't include. Henry. Max. I almost had Max on this ranking. There's one character that I took off to, or that Max I took off to put this character on here. And Dr. Stephen Edwards, yes, he was the guy that was the doctor at the Grady Memorial with the Beth and Dawn episodes. I just really thought he was an interesting character. Of course, he doesn't last long, and I thought he would be our main doctor going forward, but that didn't come to fruition. But those are 3 characters that I thought about including, but I didn't. My number 47 is another character that's not really featured a lot in The Walking Dead, and that would be Richard. Richard was in season 7 of The Walking Dead. He was at first kind of Ezekiel's right-hand man. He's the one that hid the, fruit or something like that, where the saviors were coming to pick the stuff up. And because of all that, Ben ended up getting killed. I believe it was Ben, Henry's brother. And I just thought he was an interesting character. I think he was a badass fighter for what we saw of Richard. And I don't know, he's memorable, so I included Richard in my top 50, and that's why he's my number 47. Number 46 for me, I'm going to choose Leah. Well, for starters, you may disagree with me, but Leah is the only one that Daryl had a relationship with. We have these teases with Connie and Carol, but Leah, Daryl actually, there was some chemistry and some interest there. And of course, Leah is the owner of Dog, and she names Dog. And I just liked Leah. I thought she was a badass character. Of course, the Reaper story arc really didn't go anywhere, but I thought Leah herself was a badass, and she's memorable to me, and that's why I'm putting her as my number 46. Number 45 is going to be Siddiq. There's some characters that are very underutilized on the Walking Dead TV show, and Siddiq may not be number 1, and I don't have an order of that yet, but I do believe that Siddiq is one of the most underutilized characters on The Walking Dead. He played a very important role to start, and there was more to his role because that's how we find out that Carl got bit trying to save Siddiq. But I like Siddiq a lot. Now, I think it was kind of weird that they had him and Rosita in a relationship, but that relationship happened during a time skip, and that's how we get Coco. I would have liked to have seen that relationship explored more, but I enjoyed Siddiq, and I thought his death episode was very well done with Dante, who they threw a curveball at us with the Dante scenario and him choking out Siddiq. But I like Siddiq. I think he was very underutilized. Maybe the actor wanted to leave the show or something like that, because his death kind of came out of nowhere, if you ask me. So that's why Siddiq is my number 45. Number 44, this character is one of the characters that originally didn't make the cut, and then I changed my mind. I'm choosing Tyrese. Now, Tyrese at times really got on my nerves, especially the later seasons, but I really liked his introduction on The Walking Dead. I think he was very solid on season 3. And then it was kind of all downhill from there. I mean, downhill, maybe not downhill, but I don't think Tyrese was as important. You have that episode in season 4, The Grove. It was at season 4, episode 14, that everybody absolutely loves. It's an episode with Tyrese, Carol, and 2 girls. I don't think it's all that great, but everybody rants and raves about it, so Tyrese must have did a good job in it. But I did like Tyrese. Obviously, I like comic book Tyrese a lot more. And Tyrese, another underutilized character on The Walking Dead. I think they made Tyrese the moral compass a little too soon, but nevertheless, Tyrese is going to be my 44. For my 43rd favorite character on The Walking Dead, I'm going to choose Luke. Now, obviously, I like that actor. I think he's really funny, and I think he did a good job for what he got on The Walking Dead. His character isn't featured much, and he disappears for almost all of Season 11 until they bring him back at the end just to kill him and his love interest off. But I did enjoy Luke's character. I thought he added some things to the show. I thought he had some wit about him. I liked his, it was short friendship with Alden. They didn't really do much with them, but in Season 9, they started down that path, and they also teased something with Eugene that didn't really amount to anything. So I liked Luke, and that's why I'm putting him at my number 43rd spot. 42nd, I'm going to go with Sasha. I don't really like Sasha as much as some people do. I just think with Tyrese, she was a little underutilized and not well written. I like how she came on the show, and I I liked how she left the show. Although, did she really have to take a pill to kill herself? Did that really have to happen? Maybe she could have just lied in that coffin and came out scratching at Negan and tried to get him that way. But whatever the case may be, Sasha was very interesting. She took elements of Andrea's comic book character and they gave them elements to Sasha. And I can appreciate that. I like some things that Sasha did, especially in Season 7 and Season 3, with the little things sprinkled in there. I think her relationship with Abraham kind of came out of nowhere, and honestly, it didn't really make much sense, but at least it wasn't a time skip that didn't show us anything of it, but somehow they had a baby or something together. So Sasha is going to be my 42nd favorite character. My 41st favorite character, again, this list is very weird. I know a lot of you aren't going to have some of these characters in your ranking, but I'm choosing Jessie. Jessie was Rick's love interest at Alexandria. She was kind of the town hairstylist, I guess you could say. She gave Rick a haircut when he was the grizzled, fucking kill everything Rick. And I just like Jessie. I like the actress that played her, Alexandra Breckenridge. She was in season 1 of American Horror Story. Surprisingly enough, the only season of that show that I watched. And maybe she's in future seasons too, but I liked her from there. And then after I saw that, she was on The Walking Dead. And I liked what they did with her. I'm a little surprised that she didn't stay on the show longer. I think that could have been a longer term love interest for Rick, but they went a different route. But I did like Jessie, especially the episode where the wolves get to Alexandria and this housewife has to kill and be a savage for the first time, and she does it, and the look on her face is pretty interesting. And her kids were annoying, but I like Jessie, and that's why I'm putting Jessie as my 41st favorite character. Coming in at number 40, I'm going with Alpha. Alpha, to me, is a great villain on The Walking Dead. I think they needed to make her a little bit more scary when she was having confrontation with people face to face. They kind of just made her bland and boring at those times, and she could have been a lot higher had they done that. Now, you don't want to fuck with Alpha, but I think talking to her in person when she came to the hilltop to try to get Lydia back, it just didn't seem like she was that crazy and that scary at those times. Obviously, they did a better job with that in Season 10, but then the Whisper arc ended up lasting too long. It didn't need to go all of Season 10 when they could have made that end at the middle of Season 10 instead of the whole season. But Alpha is a great and memorable character, and that's why she's coming in at number 40. Number 39 is a character that just kind of disappeared because he became a more popular actor, and we don't know what happened to him. We've been told things by, was it Angela King or Scott M. Bimkel? Well, let me tell you what character it is first. Heath. I really actually liked Heath. I thought he did a good job on the show for the amount of time that he was on the show. Corey Hawkins is a great actor and did a great job playing Dr. Dre in the Straight Outta Compton movie. But he was good. And the episode, Season 6, Episode 12, Not Tomorrow Yet, where him and Glenn have to kill their first human kills, I think he was a good character and a bit obviously underutilized because his character is featured for 5 minutes in Season 7, and then we still haven't heard anything on the actual show of what happened to Heath. I was going to say Keith. We've heard that apparently Jadis took him and gave him to the CRM, or the Civic Republic, but we don't know for sure if that's the case or not. But I hope we see Heath at some point in some sort of Walking Dead show, and that's why Heath I'm choosing as my number 39. 38, I'm going with Simon. Simon was really funny and just an interesting character. I would like to see a Tales from the Walking Dead of Simon. Now, I don't know if that show's ever going to come back. It doesn't sound like it's going to, but I think that's another character. It would be interesting to see what he did before the events of being one of Negan's number 2 guy, during Season 7 of The Walking Dead. So Simon is going to be my number 38. Number 37 is going to be Himiko. I thought Himiko could have done a lot more And toward the end of The Walking Dead, you thought she was going to have this really important story, which she kind of did. But to me, it didn't really make her all that important in the grand scheme of things, because they kind of went over the Commonwealth story at the end really quickly and wrapped up all that. I'm glad that her and Magna got back together at the end, because I didn't think they were going to actually explore that anymore. I'm like, that just kind of got dropped, and they kind of broke up for no good reason at all, in my opinion. But I did like Himiko. I thought her, as an Eleanor Matsuda, was a very good actress for what she got on The Walking Dead, and that's why I'm putting Himiko as my number 37. Coming in at number 36 for me is going to be Morales. Of course, Morales is the character that was in a few episodes on season 1 of The Walking Dead. Him and his family didn't like the direction that Rick and Shane were going in, so he went his separate ways with his family. And then we don't see Morales again until season 8, episode 2, The Damned. And he's just memorable because people, they had something on the Walking Dead official page that said dead. And then the actor that played Morales, I believe, tweeted like not dead or something like that. So it was nice to see Morales actually come back to The Walking Dead just to die the next episode. But hey, at least we got him back. I know that Trev's Chan 2, the YouTube channel, did some sort of petition to bring Morales back, and it worked. So if you ever want a character to come back to the show that their death wasn't really shown, or they're saying he's dead but we didn't see him die, do something like that. But I liked Morales. I thought he was cool. When we saw him in Atlanta with the baseball bat, he was doing a really good job fighting and fending off walkers, and I liked Morales. What can I say? So that's why he's my number 36. My number 35 is going to be Alden. Now, truth be told, Alden is another character on The Walking Dead that wasn't utilized properly. At times he was. I think his character had a really good start. He was the savior that kind of agreed with everything that Maggie and all our joint communities were doing. And he was being, cooperative with what they wanted him to do. And I think they should have made Alden Maggie's eventual love interest when she finally gets in another relationship. But they didn't go that route. Instead, they made Alden and Enid together, which they didn't really have a lot of time to get together. So it didn't get played out properly, in my opinion. And then, of course, Alden's death, we were left was the question mark for a lot of episodes until we finally got confirmation that Alden, in fact, did die. And I think the actor that plays him did a really good job. It's just unfortunate that he was so underutilized on The Walking Dead. But I liked the moments that we got with Alden, and that's why he's my number 35. I keep forgetting what number I am, so I keep looking to make sure that I don't misquote. And if I do say the wrong number at a certain point in time in this video, you can correct me down in the comments section if you want. But I'm not sure if anybody's going to have Alden in their top 50. I'd say probably half of you will. My number 34 is going to be Martinez. That was, at a time, the governor's right-hand man after Merle went back with our community, or Rick's group, I guess it was called at that point in time, back to the prison. But Martinez, I thought, was a really good character, especially the episode where Andrea had arranged the meeting with Rick and the governor, and then you had Rick bring Herschel and I think Daryl with him, and then the governor brought Milton and Martinez. And I just think it was really interesting. Martinez was actually a really good guy, and I think he was was an army guy, and I think he would have been a great member of Rick's group had he switched sides instead of being killed off by the governor in the Governor solo episodes. But I liked Martinez. He's always been a character that I've really liked, and I always see him in random projects. I'm like, hey, that's Martinez from season 3 and 4 of The Walking Dead. So Martinez is my number 34. My number 33 is probably a character people will have higher. I like the character, but the character left for a very long time. That's not the only reason why they're ranked this low. I just think there wasn't this character should have done a lot more and didn't, and that's Connie. I think they should have had Connie and Daryl get into some sort of actual relationship instead of, it looks like, just being friends. And of course you have that time period where Connie kind of disappears for a while. Of course, there's another character that did the exact same thing, and I have that character ranked a little bit higher than Connie. I I do like Connie Lott, especially that episode in season 10 with her and Virgil at that house that kind of gives you the people under the stairs vibe. I really like that, and the emotional reunion between Connie and Kelly at the end of that episode. So Connie obviously served her purpose, and I'm glad that they never killed Connie off, because that was a rumor for the first couple seasons she was on The Walking Dead, that her character's time was limited, and she ends up surviving. Now, will we see Connie in any sort of spin-off show? I hope so, but I kind of think a lot of these characters are done, and we won't see them again in the Walking Dead universe, and I think Connie's going to be one of them that doesn't come back at all for anything. So Connie is my number 33. My number 32 is a character that people are probably going to have in their top 10, and there's another character coming up very soon here that will also be a character that will probably be in people's top 10s, probably top 5s. My number 32 is going to be Carl. There's times on The Walking Dead where I don't like Carl's character at all, especially season 2. Season 2, Carl drove me absolutely nuts. And then he becomes like a badass in season 3. And then season 4, he's okay. Season 5, he's okay. Season 6, he's kind of back to being kind of lame but good at times. And then season 7, he's good. And then season 8, he's not that good anymore until his final episodes, where he actually becomes like, his acting gets a lot better. I will say this, and maybe you won't agree with me. In the Negan episode where he kills Glenn and Abraham, Carl's acting to me was terrible. The Chandler Riggs, maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, but rewatching that episode as many times as I had, everybody else does such a phenomenal job, but it seems like Carl is faking it. Like everybody else seems like it's a real thing going on, where Carl to me doesn't seem like he's acting very good. Maybe I'm just on an island by myself on that, but that's what I get. But I like Carl at times on The Walking Dead, but there's times where I get irritated by Carl, and that's why Carl is only my 32nd favorite character on The Walking Dead. Number 31 is going to be Enid. I liked Enid, and I was sad when they killed her off in Season 9, Episode 15, The Calm Before. I was actually mad, like, no, you can't kill Enid. You could have gave Enid more to do. She was like the second doctor, or one of the doctors of our group. She was trained with medical stuff. She's the one that helped Aaron after he got bitten, and she cut off his arm with help, of course. But I liked Enid. I think they could have done more with her. I think that, Carl leaving the show, Chandler Riggs, I think there was much more for her character to do, because it seemed like they were going to give her character to Carl, it kind of mimicking the Sophia storyline in the comic books, where Carl was kind of interested in Sophia and Lydia, and I think they would have gave Enid the Sophia part and made her as important as Sophia was in the comic books. And surprisingly enough, I do not have Sophia in this ranking. She wasn't really on The Walking Dead long enough. Of course, I have characters that were only in one episode on this list. I don't know. I didn't pick Sophia. She didn't really do much on the show, unfortunately. She didn't leave a lasting memory with me. But Carl, I like Carl, but I wish he would have been done more with Enid. I started talking about Carl when it's actually Enid that I'm talking about now. But I liked Enid again. I think her relationship with Alden kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't think that was the right way to go with things, because, that happened pretty soon after the events that happened, with Carl. Well, actually, no, she died in season 9. So Carl died in season 8, episode 9, and she was already with Alden early on in season 9. I don't think a lot of time passed in between season 8 and season 9, maybe a couple months. I think that's not enough time for her to get invested in somebody else. And just the relationship with Alden, to me, doesn't really make much sense, in my opinion. Of course, I think it was after the time skip, now that I remember. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I think I'm totally wrong, because I think she dies after, or let me rephrase that. I think she and Alden get together after Rick leaves, which is like the 6-year time skip. So you know what? I'm completely wrong on my facts. I don't have notes in front of me. But in the end, I miss Enid, and I wish she would have survived a little bit longer. But they had to have somebody relevant on the Pikes, because to me, not all those characters were all that relevant. So Enid is my number 31, and I think I took way too much time talking about Enid. My number 30 is going to be Magna. I really like Magna's character. I think she kind of became like useless at a point on the show when she should have been like the most profiled member. That's not the right word. She should have been the highlight of the group that came during the Rick time skip between her, Connie Kelly, Luke, and Yumiko, and she became like the third or fourth most important character out of that group. But I liked Magna. I've liked other things that she's done. The actress, I've met her before actually, and I said your character is rumored to be one of the deaths in the final season of The Walking Dead. And she's like, "What makes you think I die?" I'm like, "I don't know, you and Aaron." And it turns out that her and Aaron didn't die either. But I like Magna. I thought her character should have had more of an important role, but you have to focus on other strong females like Carol, Michonne, and Maggie, and that leaves less for Magna to do. So Magna is my number 30. My number 30, or my number 29, is the character that actually dropped down a few spots, and that would be Lydia. I don't like what they did with Lydia in Season 11, The Walking Dead. Her character seemed a lot less important, where I think in Season 9 and Season 10, Lydia was more of a focal point. I love the stuff that happened between Lydia and Carol in the original finale of Season 10. Well, let's say it's really the finale, because the bonus episodes really don't have a... They could be placed anywhere in The Walking Dead. Some of them, at least. But I think the Certain Doom with her and Carol, their bond in that episode was absolutely amazing. And I liked Lydia a lot after that. And then in Season 11, it seemed like Lydia as a character took a back seat. So that's why she only comes in as my number 29. I'm sorry, my number 29. My 28 is very surprising. I'm actually putting Lizzie as my number 28. Lizzie was obviously one of the there was two, I believe her name is Samuels, Lizzie and Mika. That was her character premiered in Season 4, Episode 1. And of course, they killed her off, I believe, in Season 4, Episode 14, The Grove, that I talked about earlier. I just really liked Lizzie's character in terms of, like, she's perfect for this world, I think. She's smart, she's brave, she's sadistic, and I think she would have been perfect to be on the show for longer than she was. But I probably have her a little bit too high now that I'm looking at it, but for some reason I picked her to be this high in my ranking. I just really, really enjoyed what I saw of her character, and I dug it. So Lizzie is going to be my number 28. And I'm going to take a quick break before I talk about my number 27. Here's where a lot of you are going to click off this video and unsubscribe if you're not subscribed already. My number 27 is going to be Daryl Dixon. For a lot of you that have watched my previous Walking Dead character ranking videos, Daryl doesn't make the list. However, this time I did top 50, and towards the end of the Walking Dead run, I started to like Daryl just a little bit more, to a point where I'm like, well, I have to include him in the top character rankings because he's the star of the show. But he really isn't. In my opinion, the people that carried The Walking Dead, especially after Rick left the show, Negan, Maggie, and Michonne, to a degree, I think, and Carol, of course, they carried The Walking Dead. Daryl was just there to grunt and, have short sentences and stuff like that. But you can't look past the stuff that Daryl does do on the show. I like the stuff with his brother Merle. But all in all, I like Daryl a little bit, but he's not one of my favorite top 10 favorite characters. So that's why I put Daryl at number 27. My number 26 is going to be Eugene. I'm glad that Eugene found love at the end of The Walking Dead and now has a daughter named Rosie. I'm a little surprised that they never did a relationship with Eugene and Rosita. Thought they would have done something. Whether or not it lasted, I thought they would have done something, but I like Eugene. The stuff with the Saviors that he did was kind of annoying, but when he made the guns backfire, that was pretty awesome. And the part where Rosita wants him to kiss him to see if he really likes this chick that he's talking to, Stephanie, that was pretty entertaining as well. But Eugene, he's a good character, a little annoying at times, but good enough where he makes my list ahead of Daryl at number 26. My number 25 is going to be T-Dog, a character for the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead. I think he's a character that was severely underutilized, and they said he was going to have a larger role in season 3 of The Walking Dead, and then they just killed him off in season 3, episode 4, Killer Within, which is one of the greatest episodes of The Walking Dead. The first episode where I'm like, wow, this show's fucking amazing. And I did like T-Dog. I thought he was a fun and interesting character. I saw him first in The Blind Side, where he threatens Sandra Bullock's character. And I just really liked him on The Walking Dead. I wish they would have gave him a little bit more to do that. I would have dug. But I thought he was a great character, despite his lack of being used. You know, in the beginning of season 2, he gets that cut in his arm. And he's kind of just a background character with a name in season 2. But all in all, T-Dog, fun character. And that's why he's my number 25. 24 for me is going to be Jesus. Talk about an underutilized character on The Walking Dead. He's not what his comic book counterpart was, because Jesus in the comic books was a bad motherfucker. I liked Jesus, and I was obviously sad when they killed him off, although I knew he wanted to leave the show, so I figured they would kill him off. But the way he died, I thought was great. That was a great moment. But you didn't really think he was dead, because he just got stabbed once, so you think he's going to survive that, but he dies. But Jesus, great character. It's unfortunate they didn't utilize him properly. He's just kind of thrown in there at points that didn't really make a lot of sense. I think they should have gave him a bigger role, and maybe he would have stayed on the show and survived to the end. But Jesus is my number 24. My number 23 is probably going to be a surprise to some. I think probably 50% of the Walking Dead fan base will have this character in their top 50. I have him quite high, though, and that would be Lance Hornsby. I really dug what they did with Lance Hornsby, because he wasn't just a guy that stayed at the Commonwealth giving orders to people. He was out there fighting. He was out there, like, trying to be an ass kicker. Now, whether or not he was an ass kicker or not, you can ask Daryl. He wasn't an ass kicker, but I liked Lance Hornsby. I thought he was very interesting as a character. Very interesting as a character. I don't think that came out right. The whole flipping the coin thing, that kind of came out of nowhere, and they didn't really do a lot with that. Like the whole thing at the Oceanside where he flipped a coin, and then he flipped a coin when the Walker Sebastian was in his cell with him. But all in all, I did enjoy Lance Hornsby. I thought he was a good villain. In fact, a better villain than Pamela Milton was, if you really want to count Pamela Milton as a villain on The Walking Dead, because she didn't really do that much stuff to be a big villain on this show, but Lance Hornsby certainly did, and that's why I'm putting Lance Hornsby as my number 23. My number 22 is going to be Jerry. Jerry, of course, Ezekiel's friend from the hilltop, from the kingdom. And I like Jerry a lot. He's a fun character, of course. He's a fan favorite. The actor that plays him, Cooper Andrews, is a great person, a great actor. I've liked him in other things, such as, Shazam. And then he's in a heist movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I like what he did on The Walking Dead. I actually really dug it. And I'm glad that Jerry survived until the end, because there was times you're worried that, is Jerry going to die or not? But he survived. I think they could have gave him a bigger arc and maybe made his character a little bit more important, because he was kind of like a little bit more than a background character with the name. But regardless of that, I put Jerry as my number 22. My number 21 is going to be Aaron. Aaron, of course, our resident from Alexandria that led our group, Rick's group, to Alexandria. Aaron he kind of started off kind of but then he got really important, and then he became a certifiable badass, especially when he got his hand chopped off, or his arm, whatever part. I can't remember where he got bit at, because it's been a while since I've watched that episode, but he didn't have a hand. He might not have had an arm. Well, he had an arm, but it was like a battle axe or something like that. But Aaron was really good. I think he was a great father to Gracie, although Gracie, in my opinion, was kind of But he certainly did a good job representing Rick from the comic books, because he looks just like Rick does in the Walking Dead comic. And I had to put him high in the list. Maybe not high enough to some of you. So that's why Aaron is my number 21. My number 20, maybe he's a character that I ranked a little bit too high, but I just really dug this character. And that would be Beta. I really like how menacing he was. I wish he would have been more of a threat to our group. I mean, he was a threat, but I wish he would have killed more members of our group face to face. He killed Laura, but that was really it for him. I wish he would have killed a couple. I wish he would have been responsible for a couple more character deaths so we could have had Beta as even a more menacing character on The Walking Dead. That episode where he comes out of the ground from season 10? And then the episode where, the same episode, he's walking around like Michael Myers, but he's got the strength of Jason Voorhees. And I just really dug Beta. I thought his death was handled okay, but it could have been a lot more epic. It's like the end of season 10, they didn't go as epic as they could have gone. Maybe The Walking Dead should have ended after season 10. But I'm glad it stayed on because obviously there were some great moments in season 11 of The Walking Dead. But that's why Beta is my number 19. I'm sorry, my number 20. My number 19 is going to be Merle Dixon. Merle, you hate him at first, and then you start to like him when he goes to the prison. He was just following orders from the governor, and then you really like him when he's going to turn Michonne in and decides, no, fuck that. You go back to your group. I'm going to single-handedly take out the governor and his guys. Now, he does take on some people, but unfortunately the governor gets the upper hand on Merle. But he was just a great character. Michael Rooker did such an amazing job, and I'm surprised that they never brought Merle back for like a hallucination scene after season 3 of The Walking Dead to give Daryl more to do, or Daryl more to think about. But I liked Merle. I really dug his character. I thought he was awesome, and that's why he's my number 19. My number 18 is a character that I really liked, a character that I thought they were going to kill off multiple times, and I was worried because I think this character and the actor did a phenomenal job, and that would be King Ezekiel. At first, he was a little cartoonish, but I really enjoyed him. I think Carrie Payton put a lot into as a character, and it sounds from listening to interviews with Carrie Payton that he really enjoyed being on The Walking Dead, and I thought for sure they were going to kill him off a few times, so I'm glad that Ezekiel made it past the end of the show, and it remains to be seen what, if any, spin-offs Ezekiel is in. I thought the ending of The Walking Dead, they should have had him be in a relationship with Carol again, because it doesn't seem like Daryl and Carol are ever going to be in a relationship, and it would have made sense just to have Ezekiel and Carol get back together, because you thought they were breaking up for Carol to go to Daryl, but she's only with Daryl just as a friend. And I think her and Ezekiel, it worked. It wasn't something that the fan base liked at first, but I think it worked, and I think they should have made them a couple at the end, but they didn't. But regardless of that, Ezekiel is my number 18. My number 17 is a character that some people hate, some people love. I liked this character, and that would be Andrea. Of course, Andrea from the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead. I just really enjoyed what she did on the show. She was like Maggie before Maggie was popular on the show The Walking Dead. It was kind of a transition from Andrea to Maggie, and I like what they did with her. I wish she would have survived longer, and that was the intention, but Glenn Mazzara killed her off at the end of season 3, which I did not like at all, and that was kind of a lame ending to season 3 of The Walking Dead, but Andrea was good, and she knows when the safety's on now. I don't know, I don't really have, sometimes I just don't really have a rhyme or reason why I like somebody, and Andrea is one of those characters that I know other characters seem to be better, but I just like Andrea more. I don't know. I just liked her character, and I wish her and Shane would have survived a lot longer since they got together at one point because they were kind of outcasts. But Andrea, definitely my number 17. My number 16 is going to be the Governor. What a job that David Morrissey did playing the Governor on The Walking Dead. He was very menacing. He was like this prince that was menacing, because in the comic book, from what I know, and I don't know everything about the Walking Dead comic book, but it seems like the Governor's kind of, this is not 100% true, but he's like kind of this homeless guy, like he's rough looking, I guess is what I'm trying to say, whereas in the Walking Dead television show, at least to start, the Governor is like a prince to a degree, that just likes to kill people because he wants to maintain being the leader of everything, I guess. I don't know his reasoning for killing all those soldiers and all that he did, but He was an awesome villain on The Walking Dead. They should have ended his arc at some point in season 3, I think, or just had him stay gone for a while. Like when he left after season 3, maybe had him not come back until season 6. But I obviously love the episode where he comes to the prison with the tank. Too Far Gone from season 4, episode 8. What a phenomenal episode that was. You know, the speech that Ricks gives that we can all work together, and the governor's like, liar, and then cuts Hershel's head off with Michonne's katana. He was a great. David Morrissey did a superb job playing the governor, and I hope we get some sort of Rise of the Governor storyline at some point, but now it's been years since we've seen the governor. He made a brief appearance in season 5 of The Walking Dead as a hallucination for Tyrese, but he was awesome. One of the best villains on The Walking Dead. And like, he looked scary, he was scary, and he was intimidating. And that's why I chose the governor as my number 16. My number 15 is going to be Judith Grimes, the later Judith. I did not like Judith until the new Kaylee Fleming took over as Judith in season 9 time skip. So everything before the time when Rick was alive, or when Rick was on the show, I should say, didn't like that Judith because, well, she didn't really do anything. But I think Kaylee Fleming did phenomenal as Judith. She did really good. I like her relationship with Negan that they kind of went away from. She still had the relationship with Negan, but they didn't do anything together. And at the end of the show, Negan gives her her compass back that he had, that she lent to him to kind of find his way. And I really like Negan, obviously. And Judith was definitely one of Negan's reasons why Negan became accepted as a member of our group, because of how his relationship with Judith was. And Judith just did a great job. I think she was a bit underutilized. She was good in season 9 from when she appeared, the Kaylee Fleming version. And then they should kind of drop the ball with her in season 10 and 11. And at the end of the show, all of a sudden, she became a major focal point again. And I just really liked her character. I dug it. Judith's awesome. I think she did a phenomenal job playing Judith for what she had to do. And that's why Judith is my 15th favorite character. Number 14, I'm going with Michonne. Michonne, I think she stayed consistent all the way through the show. I never thought that Michonne would be as important as she turned out to be. She went from being this person that was helping Andrea, going to Woodbury, then going to the prison, to the love interest of Rick Grimes. I never would have thought it would happen, but you know what? It actually worked, surprisingly. I liked it, and Michonne became great. Now, I remember the actress being on Talking Dead and annoying me because she kept talking. She wouldn't shut up when they would. It seemed like she would just ramble words like I'm doing right now, and you didn't really care. But then she became way an A-lister from her role as, on Black Panther and Wakanda Forever and stuff like that, and she just did great. Her performance was really great, especially in her last episodes. Like in season 10, she kind of took, okay, Rick's gone, so I need to take the mantle, and I need to be the star of the show. Well, her, Carol, and Daryl, because they're collectively were the stars of the show, and I think she did a decent job. And I like Michonne, so I'm putting Michonne as my number 14, and I am really looking forward to the Rick Grimes and Michonne spin-off show whenever that comes out next year. Number 13, we have a new addition to the list since this character first appeared in The Walking Dead in season 11, and that would be Mercer. It's time to fuck some shit up. Mercer was a fucking badass. Michael James Shaw did a great job being Mercer. He seemed just like Mercer. He looked just like Mercer. And it worked. He was awesome. I'm glad that he didn't kill his character off, because I thought for sure they were going to kill his character off at some point. But they didn't. And I just really dug him. He was just great. And now he's the lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth. And I hope we get Mercer again in some incarnation of The Walking Dead. Whether they come back for a season 12 at some point, or he's in a spin-off show, because these spin-off shows are going to happen years later. So we need to see what happens to some of these characters, and I hope Mercer's one of the characters that they touch upon at least for a few minutes. But Mercer, what a badass, what a performance. kind of limited in what he does, but I think he could have done a lot more. He just was playing the character of Mercer. So that's why Mercer is my number 13. Number 12, you talk about underutilized characters on The Walking Dead. And number 12, I think, was a prime example of an underutilized character on The Walking Dead that was utilized, but just not utilized as one of our main characters. And I'm talking about Rosita. Now, obviously, her character got even better towards the end of The Walking Dead, and the fact that she was the major character death in the finale of The Walking Dead. But you look at the strong female characters on The Walking Dead, they had to devote so much time to Maggie, Michonne, and Carol that Rosita just didn't quite become the main female character on The Walking Dead, and I wish she would have. I thought maybe at some point they would have Rosita be in a relationship with Daryl, just because that's what happens, and you have to have a love interest, otherwise there's nothing really going on. But she did good. Her love interests were Siddiq, that was during a time skip, so we didn't really see how that formulated, and then of course her relationship with Father Gabriel, that to me came out of nowhere, and at first I didn't like it, but then I absolutely love Father Gabriel's character. And of course, we haven't talked about Father Gabriel yet, and it was awesome. She did great. She had Coco, and I'm a little upset that her and Eugene never at least had a one-night stand or something like that, just so Eugene could say it happened. But Christian Serranos did a great job as Rosita. It's unfortunate that her character was killed off, because I really liked her. I feel like they could have done more with her to make her higher on this list than they did, and I still liked it though. So Rosita is going to be my number 12. My number 11, maybe I have a little bit too low, but I don't know. These characters that are left, that are remaining, are really hard. This list was really hard to do starting at number 20. A few of them are easy, but it was still hard to make decision on things. And that's why I'm putting Herschel, Maggie's father, as my number 11. Herschel was great. Let me rephrase that. I will go on the record stating I did not like Herschel in Season 2 at all, until the very end of Season 2, when he's standing by his house on the farm, and he's got his unlimited shotgun shells just shooting, and Rick's like, Herschel, we gotta go. It's my farm. We gotta go, Herschel. Like, at that point, he was okay and that. And then Season 3 with bearded Herschel, he was awesome. And then the speech that he gave in Season 4, if you take a drink of water, you risk your life. If you breathe, you risk your life. Scott Wilson did great as Herschel, and rest in peace to the actor Scott Wilson, as he died actually at the start of Season 9. I think the premiere date for Season 9 is the day that Scott Wilson as an actor died, but he did as good as he could with the character of Herschel. It would have been nice to see Herschel last a little bit longer on The Walking Dead, but you kind of knew at some point Herschel was going to die, but I was hoping it wouldn't be years down the road. But man, that speech, you take a drink of water, you risk your life, that's freaking classic. One of the best lines of dialogue on The Walking Dead that I can remember, and that's why Herschel, surprisingly, is only my number 11, when maybe some people would say he should be in the top 5, but man, I really like the characters that are in my top 5. My number 10 is going to be Carol. What a character arc, from going to this character that we don't really care about, that all she's there for is to hang clothes up and do laundry and maybe cook some food, to being like one of the most badass characters you could ever imagine in a zombie or walker apocalypse. Carol was awesome. She was great. I wish she would have ended up with Daryl or Ezekiel in the end. Granted, she ended up with Ezekiel, but I wanted them to get back together at the end to give her character more to do during this spin-off time period, because I have a feeling Carol will be on a spin-off. I think it's already been confirmed. We just don't know what it would be, but man, what a badass Carol was, especially in Season 5, Episode 1, No Sanctuary. She was phenomenal, and that's why Carol cracks my top 10 at number 10. Coming in ninth place for me, another underutilized character on The Walking Dead, and that would be Abraham. I thought they could have done a lot more with Abraham. I understand that there were other people higher in the pecking order, like Rick, like Daryl, like Glenn, and all the other leads that were on the show. But Abraham was so awesome. The group that he had, or the connection he had with Eugene and Rosita, they were great. Now, I will say, I've said this before, when they broke Abraham and Rosita up, to me, it didn't really make so much sense for him to jump to Sasha. Whatever. I don't know what their intention behind that was. But then, of course, it didn't really amount to anything because they killed Abraham off shortly after that happens. But man, I really liked Abraham. And truthfully, the scene that he dies, I was upset. But it was comical because he got hit in the head with a barbed wire baseball bat. And Negan stops. And Abraham says, "Suck my nuts." And Negan's like, "He just told me to suck his nuts." It was hilarious. But I did like Abraham quite a bit. He's probably ranked a little bit too high to some of you. Like, I had Abraham on my list, but he's like 20th. But I really enjoyed him and his one-liners. Although the episode where Daryl shoots all the bikers, the saviors, where he's like, "Who's Negan?" Yeah, Abraham says. That outfit that he wore, what was the point of that? I don't know. He looks stupid to me. But I loved Abraham. I don't care what anybody says, and that's why he's my number 9. My number 8 is probably a lot of people's top 3, and I'm going with Glenn. Glenn was a great character. Although I feel towards the end there wasn't much more to do with him. It felt like to me that you can't really change his character into like a sadistic badass. He's got to stay kind of a moral compass of the show. And he kept, being in situations where he thought he was going to die and then survive. It's like they only can go and do that so many times. So I thought for sure, because of the comic book and because Glenn's had so many fake-out deaths, that Glenn was eventually going to get killed. I'm like, he's going to be a Negan kill. They should have done one kill at the end of Season 6 and one kill for Season 7. I understand why they did that, because you can't just end Season 7 with a kill when the scene's still going, so it makes sense why they cut it and just saved it for the start of Season 7. But man, Glenn was a great character. He was kind of the heart of the show to certain people. He's definitely one of the hearts of the show, and I really liked him. So Glenn is going to be my number 8. My number 7, I just mentioned a few characters ago. Father Gabriel. Talk about a character turn from this pussy-ass priest that doesn't want to let anybody into his church to the end when he's walking up to this gate saying, "I'm going to let these people in. If anybody tries to stop me, I'm going to shoot him." Trying to let people in when there's danger approaching. What a turnaround. You talk about Carol having a character turnaround, and hers is damn good as well. But man, Father Gabriel, I couldn't stand him in the first couple seasons that he was on The Walking Dead. Specifically Season 5. He got a little bit better in Season 6, especially Season 6, Episode 9, No Way Out, my favorite episode of The Walking Dead. When he's in the church, Tobin's there, and then Gabriel grows and grabs a weapon, and Tobin's like, "Gabriel, what are you doing?" He's like, "God has given us the strength to fight back," or something like that. He says, don't quote me directly. And then Gabriel just walks out. He's going to help. And then, of course, Season 6, Episode 12, Not Tomorrow Yet, he kills some people, and he's like more badass. And he just becomes better and better and better. And man, what a turnaround for a character. Father Gabriel, I'm glad that they didn't kill him off, because I was thinking he would be a character death at some point in time, especially Season 10, Episode 16, A Certain Doom, when he's on the ground with the whispers and he's about to get it, but then Maggie, Elijah, and Aaron show up. It's like, oh, Gabriel, he's saved. But man, Father Gabriel, what a turnaround as a character, and that's why he's my number 7. And again, if I say the wrong number for some of these, I'll name all the characters, don't you worry, but I might repeat the same number by accident. I think I might have did it there, I'm not sure. But Father Gabriel is my number 7. My number 6, if you didn't cancel me with the Daryl ranking, you may cancel me with this one, or stop this video, or unsubscribe, or all the above. My number 6 is going to be Rick Grimes. Rick is not number 1 in my ranking because there's just other characters that I really liked more than Rick. But Rick was a badass, especially bearded Rick from season 4 and season 5. Man, he was fucking unbelievable. And then in season 6, episode 9, No Way Out, an episode I refer to a lot, when he takes Carl to the infirmary with Denise and them, and then Rick, you see him kind of walking out at the end, and he goes back outside with his hatchet and just starts slicing up walkers, like on his own, like fuck it. What a badass moment. Rick was awesome. He kind of got stale to me like in season 7, I think, because Negan humiliated him so much where he wasn't as vicious and wasn't as a badass as he was before. And then even in season 8, he was a little bit better, but he still kind of was off. And then season 9, the same thing. I didn't really like how Rick was at the end of the show, or while he was on the show. And then, of course, Rick is going to be back in his own show with Michonne. And I'm interested to see where they take this. I have no idea what they're going to do next. But Rick, at times, was a fucking phenomenal character on The Walking Dead. He's a lot of people's number 1. He's my number 6, at least. We're at the top 5 of my all-time favorite Walking Dead characters. And my number 5 is going to be Maggie. Now, I know some of you do not like Maggie's character. Some of that comes from Lauren Cohan leaving the show in season 9 and doing that show that she did with Scott Foley for a season until it got canceled. But I really liked Maggie's character, especially in season 4 and 5 and 6. She got a little bit annoying in season 7 because of, what happened. She was so distraught over Glenn dying. But the mid-season finale, like, she was back to somewhat being normal even though Glenn was dead, and it's hard to come back from that. But I just really enjoyed Maggie's character. I really dug her character. I thought she was a badass. I thought she was interesting. She's seen a lot of tragedy. She's seen a lot of her friends die, like right in front of her. She saw Beth die. She saw Herschel die. She saw Glenn die. She saw Sasha die. She was with Rosita. Well, no, actually, she left the room. But she was around the time when Rosita died. She was just there until she left the room for Eugene and Gabriel to say their piece to Rosita. But man, what a character. I'm glad she came back. To me, she at times got a little stale, but there was always something that she did to improve her. And then in season 11, when they have her and Negan kind of being on the same page, that was some deep shit. That was so deep. I love the Negan and Maggie stuff from season 11. A lot of people don't like season 11. I really enjoyed it. I dug all that stuff. That was the most interesting plot line on The Walking Dead, is how are Negan and Maggie going to work together after what Negan did to her man. So I like it. I love Maggie. She's awesome. Definitely my favorite female on the show, and that's why she is in my top 5 at number 5. My number 4. I wonder if you know the final 4 yet. You probably don't. You probably know 3 of them. I'm going to go with Dale. Dale was the first character on The Walking Dead that I liked. I really liked Dale. In fact, initial watching The Walking Dead, I thought Dale had the best acting ability, and he's in some really good movies as well, like The Green Mile, directed by Frank Darabont, who was his friend, and that's why Dale, the actor, Jeffrey DeMunn, left the show, because of what happened to his friend that was the director, Frank Darabont, until he was fired. But man, Dale was great. And then him wanting to keep Randall alive in season 2, he just did great. And then if you've never seen the honest trailer of the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead, the Dale face, him and Shane always had these great interactions with each other. And I think, honestly, Shane and Dale carried The Walking Dead for the first couple seasons. I strongly believe that they were the best parts of The Walking Dead and not Andrew Lincoln. And that's why Dale, unfortunately, died, but he's definitely my number 4. And he stayed as one of my favorite characters since the run of the show. I've always liked Dale. My number 3 is a character I didn't appreciate at first. But then, rewatching the show, I realized that this guy is one of the best characters on The Walking Dead, and it's unfortunate that we don't get enough time with him, and that would be Shane. Jon Bernthal did a great job as Shane. He was awesome. And if you watch the Honest trailer, apparently he likes to rub his head a lot. It's fucking hilarious. And Shane rubbing his head. But despite that, what great acting by Jon Bernthal. Look at all the stuff that Jon Bernthal has done after The Walking Dead. Just a few to mention: Wolf of Wall Street, Snitch, and The Punisher. What a great character. Definitely the star of the show the first 2 seasons. You'd think it would be Rick, but Shane, I think, is the star of the show, with Dale kind of being the co-star, with the person that can act the best. But man, Shane was phenomenal. It would have been interesting to see if Shane would have survived all these years, and just how his character would be right now if he would have changed and been more like, oh, I can't kill people, this is wrong, or something like that. But man, what a great character. Love Shane. Appreciate him a hell of a lot more than I did the first couple times that I watched this show. And that's why Shane is my number 3. We are down to the final 2 characters. You probably already know what my number 1 is. But my number 2 is going to be Morgan. I Don't Die. I was very upset that Morgan didn't come back for the finale of The Walking Dead, even though he's actually listed in the credits. I wonder if it's because they used his voice, but his new voice footage of Morgan, but usually it would just say voice work. So I don't know if he was in a deleted scene or something like that, but I really wanted Morgan to come back to The Walking Dead because he started it all. With Rick, it was Morgan. And I never saw Morgan at first. I started watching The Walking Dead during season 2. So it was really interesting watching this amazing season of television, for the most part, although there were a few boring episodes, and then going back to watch the first season and seeing this excellent character of Morgan, and then thinking like, oh, well, I didn't see him in season 2, so he must have died. But he didn't die. And then he finally comes back in season 3, episode 13, or was it 12? Clear. And then we finally get Morgan to show up in season 5. A couple end credit or mid-credit scenes. And then, of course, him coming back as a regular in season 5, episode 16, Conquer. But man, what a great actor. Lenny James, definitely a great actor. Great character. Love Morgan. When he's badass Morgan. When he's like, I don't want to kill people Morgan. When he's clear mode Morgan. He's fucking phenomenal, and I like Morgan. So Morgan is my number 2. And you already know who my number 1 is. It's really not a surprise. And, well, if it's a surprise, well, that's strange. But Negan is my number 1 favorite character on The Walking Dead of all time. Reason being, well, he was just a scene stealer, in my opinion. His first moments on the show, the long, drawn-out speech that he had that was basically a replica from the comic book. I think it's word for word from the comic book. And little pig, all that stuff. Him killing Glenn and Abraham in a really sad moment, but there's comedy to kind of make me chuckle. Like, he said, suck my nuts. Buddy, you were still there? Your eye just popped out of your head and it's gross as shit. Oh, I'm really sorry. I know this is bad for you people, but I said no exceptions. I mean, all that, great. And then, like, you see more of Negan. Like, he's not really a bad guy. If you remember, Rick and company went to his outpost and slaughtered everybody there. Now, Negan apparently was killing one person from each community he met, but they slaughtered his whole outpost. So, to the saviors, Rick's group are the bad guys. And then with Negan ending up in the jail cell, the prison, and then developing his relationship with Judith, and then eventually being accepted by the group, doing that job for Carol where he kills Alpha and like saves Judith and Dog during the snowstorm, and then tries to go on his own and like, I don't really like what's out there. The sanctuary is nothing anymore. And then him coming back and being a prominent member of Alexandria, and then the stuff with Maggie, like how they coexisted and how they worked together to a degree after Negan didn't save her off the train car, but after that they worked together. Man, what a character. And the acting by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think, was awesome. He carried the show, especially after Rick left. Although you don't get a lot of him, they only use Negan at certain points. There's a couple episodes where he's not featured in a row, which really pissed me off. But man, I love Negan, and that's why he is my all-time favorite Walking Dead character. And I'm definitely looking forward to the Negan and Maggie spinoff, Dead City. So that's the ranking of my top 50 favorite characters on The Walking Dead. I'm not going to repeat the list because I don't want to name 50 names. Just know that Negan is my number one. Like I said before, if you're a Walking Dead fan and want to help me out with this YouTube algorithm, since I do so much content, different content, the algorithm doesn't like me as much. But if you want to help out, make sure you smash that like button. Share the video with anybody you know. If you have some Walking Dead fans that you know, make sure they see this video. I'll put a playlist of some Walking Dead things here, 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 and here. And don't forget to leave me plenty of comments. Tell me your favorite characters. Tell me your favorite episodes. Tell me your favorite seasons. Predictions for the upcoming spin-off shows, the Daryl Dixon show, the Rick and Michonne show, and of course, Dead City. And then last but certainly not least, you're watching the video anyway, so don't forget to smash that subscribe button, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.